Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for the Alterations class. Today we're going to be talking about just some basic alterations. Doing basic alterations is really pretty easy, so you don't really have to spend a lot of money doing some simple alterations. Harder alterations, you have to maybe take it to the tailor, but we're going to be talking about altering side seams. So that could be a side seam in a shirt or a dress, or even pants. So that would be like tapering pants. We're also going to be talking about darts to provide some shaping in your garment. If your garment is too straight up and down and you want to give it some shape, we're also going to be talking about different kinds of hems too. So the handouts that I sent to you, we're going to look at that very first page that is titled Basic Alterations. And the Basic Alterations just has some general information on it, just kind of some tips and tricks for just when you start doing alterations. If a garment is particularly difficult to fit, you're going to turn it inside out to manipulate the seams more easily. I usually do that only if I have like princess seams or there's a lot of seams. Most often I like to leave a garment right side out because when I'm fitting it or fitting somebody else, I like to visualize what it's going to look like after it's been altered. So I like to leave everything right side out because I like to visualize what it's going to look like at the end. But really, if it's really difficult to do fitting and you're really dealing with a lot of seams, then flip that sucker inside out. Also, when I fit, and I'll demonstrate this, but when you fit, it's nice to pin back any extra. So if you're taking in, you're shaping something, and you're going to pin that in, and sometimes it's nice to be able to take those little bits that you pinned and pin them back. So again, you can see the end result of a garment. Matching thread is going to be your best friend. Matching thread goes a really long way, so I always recommend matching thread as best as you can. Also, when you're shortening a garment, you want to make sure that if the pants that you bought have an inch hem and you're going to shorten it by 2 inches, make sure that you only cut off 1 inch so that then you can have that extra inch to still have that inch hem. If you buy something ready-made and they have an inch hem in it, go ahead and copy whatever the manufacturer did because they made like a million of those and they also tested a bunch of those too. So make sure that you copy what the manufacturer did. Also, you want to be able to try on pants and skirts with appropriate shoes. And same goes with, if you're doing anything formal, like, I don't know, like a formal dress, you want to make sure that you're wearing your same undergarments that you'd be wearing because that's going to change the fit quite a bit too. So the next thing on the handout is talks about tools that you need. So I'm not going to show you the tools because you probably know what all these are. Pins, pin cushion, iron and ironing board. And iron and ironing board are going to help a lot. You don't need a full-on ironing board. A little tabletop one will work just fine. Hand needle, small scissors or seam ripper. You do a lot of ripping out of seams when you sew and do alterations, so that would be great to have. A seam gauge or ruler. So a seam gauge, and we're going to use that later on tonight, so I'll show you. It just is that little rulery thing with a little slide because you end up doing a lot of measuring when you measure hems and those kinds of things. Marking pencil, pen, or chalk. A pencil works just fine. You don't have to break the bank buying all kinds of expensive marking things. Thread, fabric shears. Please, oh please, have really good fabric scissors. There's nothing worse than trying to hack at fabric with dull scissors. It's horrible. So get yourself some really good fabric shears and keep them just for fabric. The other thing that is I love the most is a styling design ruler, or it can be considered a French curve. This one that I have in particular is called a designer's curve. So it's just this thing here that has really great curves. There's a straight edge on it too. You do a lot of really gentle lines when you do alterations, so you use this part a lot. This comes in really handy, so if you end up doing a lot of alterations and really any kind of pattern drafting or anything, I really highly recommend this. This thing is awesome. I know Fancy Tiger carries them. Theirs is called a styling design ruler, and it just has one of these curves and then the rest of it's straight. But you know, this one's great. I'm sure you can get them many places, but I highly recommend getting this. You don't have to have it, but it does come in really handy. So the first thing that we're going to do is talk about taking in side seams. So I'm gonna have a dress form, and I'm gonna demonstrate how you pin in side seams to kind of take a straight dress and give it some shape. You can do this on a shirt, you can do this on a lot of different garments, you could do it on sleeves. It's kind of all the same concept. So we're gonna go over and take a peek at how you're going to fit something to give it some more shape on this dress. Okay, so this is just a really basic kind of denim dress that I had. I actually tend to really like things pretty straight because I'm pretty straight, but it sometimes if you want to make something look a little more tailored, you can do that by shaping in your side seams. So this is one way to fit something, and I'm just going to show you how I do that. I'm just going to tell you too that it's really nice to have a buddy to help you do this. It's pretty hard to do this on your own, so I highly recommend getting somebody to help you, especially when you're hemming. If you're doing anything like that's like it has to do with length, this you can kind of do on your own, but it's nice to have a buddy to do this. So I'm going to get rid of her arms just so that you can see what I'm doing. The side seam. So see how this side seam is pretty darn straight. There is a pocket in here, so that's not ideal. I wouldn't be able to take out a whole lot of the side seam because I'd be getting rid of a lot of this pocket, but a little shaping I could totally do. So I'm gonna just generally pin this to show you how I'm gonna visualize the shape that I'm gonna give it, and then I'll give you a close-up of how much I pinned. So I just want to kind of pinch it back, maybe about like this much, to kind of shape it in at the waist. So what I'm going to do is pinch out the side seam right there, and I try to have the side seam right on that line. I'm going to put a pin parallel to my side seam about where I want, as much as I want to take that in right there. So that's the deepest that this new side seam is going to go. I also want to see, based on this form, because the waist is here, where I want to start my new side seam and where I want to end it too. So I'm going to come up here, and this will be my start pin. There's my middle pin, and then here's my, I'll do a couple of pins, just to give that a nice curve. So it's got, you can see how the pins are kind of curving that side seam in, and straight on view that's going to kind of shape that in. Also for visualization, I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side seam as well. You don't have to be perfect with this. It's not that big a deal. We're actually going to take one side seam and transfer it over to the other side seam, so you're taking the same amount in on either side seam. So I'm just more doing this for visualization. So again, if I were fitting somebody, I just want to make sure that this is going to be a nice curve and it's a good silhouette for this body. So I like to kind of like pull those back a little bit, and then see the end result where it's going to kind of go that way. So I'm My pins are parallel to my seam, and I'm just going to leave those pins in there, and then I'm going to show you how to transfer those pins so you can make your new side seam. Okay, so here's my pinned seam line where I want to sew my new side seam, and I'm going to just get into the inside of my dress, and I'm going to chalk where those pins are. You can use any kind of chalk that you like. Tailor's chalk works really well for this. I have a little thing that came with several different pieces of colors of Tailor's chalk, but you know, use whatever. A white pencil will be fine. Just you're just chalking this line, and it's not going to ever show. And most Tailor's chalk washes right out, so it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to kind of spread my fabric apart and just rub my Tailor's chalk over my pin, and then I'm going to slide my pin out because I want to make sure that I can see where that pin was. I might actually switch to white, see if that shows up a little bit better. Sometimes you've got to test stuff out. So again, I'm just going to rub this chalk over my pins. I want to make sure I'm getting on both sides, because when I go to sew this new side seam, I want to make sure that my chalk line is on the right side of my side seam. So I just like to make sure it goes on both sides, because when you sew side seams, you always want to go top down. So basically from like the armpit down to the hem. Okay, so all my new side seams are chalked, so I don't know if you can see that line very well. So there it is on that side, there it is on this side. So when I'm sewing this, I'm actually, since the majority of your fabric is going to be to the left of the machine, I'm going to need to fill in this line right here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my styling design ruler or my French curve or whatever you have, and I want to flatten that side seam out again pretty well. So sometimes if a garment's been worn a lot, or if it's just kind of a very kind of fabric that behaves very nicely, sometimes you can go ahead and press this flat, iron this flat, because you want to get this seam back in the flat state again before you do this. But I think that's pretty flat enough anyway. So I'm going to take my styling design ruler and I'm going to let it sit on those chalk marks that I made. And I'm just going to trace this line so I have my new side seam right there. Now where this comes up, so here's my armpit, where this comes, this is kind of a pretty much too much of an angle. This isn't as bad, but there's no way that I want to have this angle, because it's gonna, when I turn it right side out, it's gonna have a little point. So I'm actually gonna drag that line up a little further up into my existing seam line, and that's just right under the armpit. So I'm going to want to start sewing right here on that existing seam line, travel along my new chalk mark, end at my last little mark, but then travel along those stitches a little bit more too. You want this to be as gentle as possible. So that's how you mark your new seam. And then to transfer it to the other side, all I'm going to do, I'm going to take my pins out of my other side seam, because remember that was just for visualization. So I'm going to get my other side seam. I'm going to fold the dress so the side seams stack on top of each other like that, and try to get it again as flat as I can get it. Match up. This has a little waistline seam just in the front. So I'm going to make sure those seam lines match up. And I really want to stack those on there as best as I can. Like that. And then I'm going to take some pins and scoop them all the way through all those layers. So I'm scooping them through the whole shebang here. Just so that I can pretty accurately transfer that new seam line. So there's my pins in my new seam line that's pinned all the way through to the other side. But remember how we always have to sew top down, so I can't just flip it and transfer my marks there because it's going to put my dress on the wrong side of the machine. So what I'm going to do is open this up because I need to have that new seam line on this side. So I'm going to kind of just chalk where my pins are on the other side seam. Usually I like to have chalk that's kind of skinny too, just so it makes kind of a finer line. This isn't the skinniest chalk, but you know, it'll do the trick. So I'm going to take my pins out. And there's my side seam line for my other side. If you want to, you can go ahead and take your styling design ruler or your French curve and draw a line matching those up too, just so that you have a place to sew your new side seam. So we're going to go ahead and practice a new side seam just so you get the concept of it. So we're actually going to go over to the machine and I'll show you how you can do a good practice for this before you get into a garment. So a good way to practice taking in a side seam, and when I teach this class in person, I have my students do this. All I've done is taken 2 pieces of muslin. You can use scrap fabric, whatever, it's just a practice. And these pieces, there's 2 pieces that are 3 inches by 18 inches. I just wanted to have something that it was similar to a regular seam. And I sewed a seam in there at 5/8. The reason why I did 5/8, and you guys may already know this, but in a lot of clothing patterns, you're going to have 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and that's in case you want to let something out as well. So I'm going to go over that too. First, I'm going to show you how to kind of practice taking something in. So what I'm going to do is just kind of pretend that, you know, here's my waist point. I'm going to make a little mark right there. And this is the deepest part where I want to take my seam in. And I'm going to take my styling design ruler and lay it on the most gentle curved part so that that hits that line, and show you, I'm just going to draw just as is. So this, you would never want to do it like that because here you have a little point, there you have a little point. It's not terrible, but generally what I like to do is sometimes you can even just freehand that and just bring it a little further out to your original seam line. This, you can even take your styling design ruler and bring that out just a skosh more, again, so that it's going to begin and end on your original seam line. So that's now your new straight stitch that you would do, and I usually just jump on my same stitch. I'm going to backstitch here, follow along my new drawn line, backstitch right there too. Then if this is a garment, you're going to try it on again or put it on whoever you're fitting, and make sure that you didn't take it in too much, or if you have to take it in more. If you feel like that works and that's a good new seam line, you don't need all that extra seam allowance. So generally after you sew that, then you're going to go back in and cut this extra seam allowance out just because you want to reduce bulk where you can. So, but don't do that until after you fit the person, because once you cut it out, you can't go back. Other way, if you wanted to let something out. So I do this from time to time because I'm super straight up and down. So sometimes if something fits my bust and my hips, it needs a little more room in my waist. So if that's the case, I can come out in this extra seam allowance, and same thing, I'm going to take my styling design ruler and draw that little curve out into my extra seam allowance. Again, same thing, you want to travel along your seam line like that. After, if you let something out, then you need to get rid of those stitches. So then you're going to go and seam rip those stitches after you sew that. Then try it on to make sure that that is a better fit for you. If not, then you're going to do some adjustments that way as well. So before we move on to darts, I want to make sure that I mention one more thing about side seams that I forgot to mention before, so sorry, is that if you're taking in side seams and you're actually not coming in and curving back out, you're going to go all the way down. So like if you're going to taper a pair of pants, that's kind of an instance of where you would start to come in gently and then go all the way down. So in that case, you want to make sure that before you do your new side seam, you take your hem out. You don't have to take it out all the way, but say you're taking an inch in from your side seam, tapering in an inch. You want to go down to where your bottom hem is, take out, just rip your hem out about an inch and a half at least, maybe 2 inches from either side of the side seam. Take that new side seam in all the way down, cut your extra, and then put your hem back in, because it looks really janky if you try to go through the hem. Believe me, I've done it, and I don't know, sometimes if it's for me, I don't care so much, but if I'm doing it for somebody else, I want to make sure that I don't have a janky looking hem. Okay, moving on to darts. So take a peek at these dart handouts that I gave to you guys. They're these ones. If you didn't have to copy them in color if you didn't want to. Black and white's just fine. They are from an old-fashioned book. So some of the dart discussion in here is a little old-fashioned. So don't let it freak you out, because darts are in tons of things, and the more you start looking at your garments, you're going to see that darts are in tons of stuff. So the different kinds of darts there is a plain dart and there's contour darts. So plain darts they talk about in that first page. Second page they talk about contour darts. They also mention French darts. French darts are the ones that go diagonally. Those are usually a design dart. So you're going to see darts mainly in the bust, and those are going to go horizontally. So a bust dart goes horizontally. Waist, those go vertically, and all those are doing is they're pinching in the fabric. Sorry, my cat is meowing now. They're pinching in the fabric so that it kind of gives shape. And so you're going to pinch it in at the waist, let it back out at the hip, pinch it in at the waist, and then let it back out at the bust, so it's just kind of like shaping your garment again. So you're going to see darts in the bust, waist, sometimes in vintage things. I've actually put a pattern together not that long ago that had neck darts, and then sometimes you're going to see an elbow dart as well too. That's not as common, but today we're just going to talk about bust and waist darts, the plain darts and the contour darts. On that first handout page, you're going to look at the plain dart. They have you mark your dart with tailor's tacks, and please ignore that. I have never in my life done a tailor's tack. I'll show you how to mark darts with just using chalk and pins, so don't let that freak you out. And I'm also going to demo how to do a plain dart on a skirt. that I have. For contour darts, for that next page, I always call that like a double-ended dart, and that's gonna start at the bust, come in at the waist, go back out at the hip, and I will put that little denim dress back on my dress form and show you how to mark a dart like that too. So here we go. So here I have a skirt on my dress form, and you see how she's swimming in that waist. It is way too big for her. So if this is the case and you need to take in a waistline and you want to use darts, it's pretty simple, and this is the plain dart method. So what I'm going to do is spin her around to the back, because darts are actually going to be in the back. You could put some in the front as well, but in this case, I'm just going to distribute that extra waist amount into some back darts. So what I'm going to do is make sure her side seams are on her side seams. I'm actually going to throw a pin in there to hold it. If there's too much to take out, you would have to do darts in the front and the back, because you don't want your side seams to shift too much. You want your side seams to stay on the side seams. So I'm just going to pin the side seams there, and then I'm going to deal with all this extra stuff right here. So what I'm going to do is try to do this backwards so you guys can see. So I'm going to find the center back. So center back is about right here. Just going to slide a pin in there to mark the center back. And I'm actually even going to pin, I mean, I know you couldn't do this on a person, but you could do this on a dress form, or, you know, you can just slide a pin in where the center back is. And then this is the extra, these are the extra amounts that need to be taken out right there. And that's already actually forming a little dart shape. If I can show you how it kind of wants to make this little triangle shape, and then at the hip it wants to let go right there. So what I'm going to do is take my pins, pinch it in on either side, and again I'm just eyeballing because I'm going to pinch it in just for fit, but then when I go to actually mark my darts, I will transfer them just like I did for that side seam. So I'm going to pinch it in so it fits the waist, slide a pin in there, and then I'm going to see how long my dart wants to be. Usually what happens is the fold starts to let go where the end of your dart is. So I'm just going to listen to it and see that dart wants to let go about right there. So let's see if we can get a little closer here. So that's where this dart wants to let go. There's the beginning of the dart. Usually when you're doing darts like this, you will sew the dart and then try it on. Once it's on your body, it'll definitely tell you whether the dart needs to go longer, or if it's okay, but you just kind of do a lot of trial and error this way. So I'm just going to mark the dart at the top and then where it ends right there with just a pin. I'm going to leave that one as is because I'm actually going to transfer the markings from this dart over to that side so that they're the same on both sides, and I don't just have to measure things. I'm just going to stack it and mark it like I did the side seams. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to pin a contour dart. So we're back to Little Miss with her denim dress on, straight denim dress, and you know, when we did side seams, we took it in here, but there is another way. And I actually really love to shape things this way. You know how I mentioned the pocket before? So if you're really wanting to take a lot in, or you just don't want to really mess with that pocket, you could put back darts in. So what back darts are going to do too, it's kind of pretty, is, you know, when the back hangs really straight like this, it's nice because it shapes it just into the back, just like that, without having to mess with any other design element of the front, and you're really just shaping it into the back like that. So I'm going to try to do this backwards again. All right, so even where I've kind of pinched it, you can see how it like wants to come in like that, and that's basically what this dart is going to do. It's going to start basically at the bust point, come in deepest at the waist point, let go at the hip point. And again, I'm going to just really concentrate on marking one pretty well. I'm going to pin the other one just because, you know, for silhouette reasons, just to make sure that I like the depth and what shape that's creating. But honestly, I'm just going to eyeball it. So the back of these darts, just going to, maybe if I turn it to the side, it'll be a little easier to see. I've got a center back seam in this dress, which is really nice. But if not, then kind of just try and eyeball where the center back is. So I'm going to just pinch out, we're at the waist where I want it to come in the most. I'm going to slide a pin in there. And then, since this is a double-ended dart, the one on the skirt just had 1 point. These are going to have 2 points at about the bust, about the hip point. So I'm also going to slide a pin in where I believe the end of the dart's going to be, and the beginning of the dart is going to be. And you could put more pins in here if you want to, just to kind of shape that a little bit more. But after I take this off the dress form, I'm going to show you how you're going to use your styling design ruler or your French curve to draw those lines in. So I'm going to pin the other one just for kicks, just to make sure that I'm not taking in too much, and again, so that I like the silhouette. When you're fitting somebody, this is a really good question to ask them. It's really good to ask them how the garment feels on their body, because they're wearing it, you're not. And a lot of times when something fits you well, it feels really good too. If anything feels like it's pulling, I used to do lots of bridal alterations, and I was very insistent that my brides were really communicative with me and that they told me how things felt, because that really helped me when I fit things. So I'm just going to pin in the back of the other side too, and if you can kind of see how, if we pop those back, how that's really kind of shaping the back of that dress nicely. Oh, let's get that sleeve back out of the way to kind of bring it in at the back. This is, honestly, I do this a lot. This is one of my favorite ways to make something have more shape, and then, but you don't have to, you know, do a whole lot of stuff. And it's kind of subtle too. It's a little more subtle than a lot of other things, because darts honestly should be pretty invisible in general. So that's how you pin the plain dart. This is how you do the contour dart. Next, we're going to go and I'm going to show you how to mark these on the inside of your garment, and then we're going to sew a dart. I'm going to have you practice sew a dart too. All right. So here's my skirt where I pinned my dart. I ended up taking out the pin from the other side just because I'm going to match that side with this side. Here's where I pinched out that extra. Here is the point of my dart. I just slid another pin in there just because I don't want to lose where the end of that dart is going to be. So basically, I have the beginning, I have the end. I'm going to flip it inside out. And just like we did with the side seam, I'm going to chalk. Here's the top where the waist is. I'm going to chalk on both sides of that pin because those are going to be what I call the legs of the dart. So there's one leg right there, and then here's my double pinned bit where the point of the dart is. So I'm going to make a little mark right there too. So when you have a plain dart like this, you really only need the 2 legs and the point. I'm going to take those pins out as well. And I'm going to grab my scissors. So now what I'm going to do is put it right sides together, fold my skirt right sides together so that those legs of my dart match up. Here, I'll slide a pin in there so we can check that they match up. So there's one leg. Oh, gotta shift it a little bit. So there's one leg, there's the other leg. So I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna snip just the top bit. This is gonna be taken up by your seam allowance. So those are the legs of my dart, and then there's the point. So I'm gonna open it back up, and again, there's my legs, there's the point. So I'm gonna fold it together. Now I'm gonna slide a pin in where my legs are. I'm also gonna slide a pin in where the point is and flatten it all out like that. And I'm going to get a straight edge, and I'm going to put my straight edge here at the legs right there. There's my little snips for the legs, and then there's my point. That pin might get in the way a little bit, so I might slide that pin out a little bit. And I'm just going to draw this line. Again, this is nice when if you have skinny chalk, but that's not terrible. So there's where I'm going to be sewing. Just so that things don't shift, I'm going to dive some pins underneath there. Just so everything holds while I sew it. Now before I sew it, I want to transfer this to the other side. So it's the same exact concept as the side seams. I'm going to match up my side seams. Stack my skirt pieces on top of each other. I'm going to have to take that pin out because I'm going to make sure that, actually I'm going to take all my pins out, haha. I should have waited and not pinned it quite yet. Okay, so side seam is on top of side seam, and I'm not crazy, this actually has a side seam zipper, so side seam on top of side seam. I'm going to snip my legs into the other side. I'm going to take this point pin, slide it through all layers, flip it over, and chalk mark where my point is. So here on the other side are my legs. There's my point, and same thing, right sides together. Match up my legs. There's my point. Take my straight edge and draw a line there too. And then you're going to pin both darts, and then you're going to sew them. Same concept with your double-ended dart. So for my double-ended dart, make sure my pins don't come out. That would be bad. Okay, so when we pinned that, there's the beginning of my dart, the middle of my dart, the end of my dart. So flip that inside out. Exact same concept. I'm going to chalk where that pin is. So that's the beginning. the middle. Here's the end. And these contour darts look like an elongated diamond shape. So I'll put this flat so you can see it. So if you look in your handout, you're going to see that the shape of this, you're going to start here, it's going to come out and back in like that. You can make it a little more rounded. Sometimes I make them not, I don't make it real pointy because that's a little bit more of a tailored look. In things that aren't uber fitted, which generally is kind of what we wear now, things that aren't uber fitted, if you can kind of make this a little bit more rounded and not so completely straight, because that's gonna have some weird angles. So basically what I would do is pin my two ends, just kind of so I know where I'm going. And find my middle. Slide it a little bit. I'm drawing this upside down, but it's going to be the same on both sides. So then I can take my styling design ruler and trace this curve to there. Same kind of gentle curve to there. So that's, and then I'm going to transfer that dart to the other side, the same way we did our side seams, the same way we did the other dart. So now we're going to practice sewing a dart. It's really nice to just, again, have like a little piece of fabric. I'm going to use a little 6" by 6" piece of muslin, but you know, use whatever you have for practice. Okay. So here's my little scrap piece to practice a dart. All I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make a pretty long dart. You're just practicing, so you don't have to do anything fancy. So I'm just going to, that's going to be the point of my dart. I'm going to fold my fabric up to one raw edge, and I'm going to snip the legs of my dart, just like that. And again, this is just practice, so it's just to kind of help you to practice sewing a dart so they don't freak you out when you really have to sew a dart. Okay, so here's my legs. Here's my point or my dot. I'm going to slide a pin in there just so I know where I'm going. And I'm going to take my straight edge and go from my legs to my point. These pens are really awesome. They are good for fabric. They're friction, and they actually, the line will disappear with the heat of your iron, which is kind of magical. So I do like these when I want a really nice thin line. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line like that. And then just because we're pretending this is a real dart, I'm going to throw some pins. I'm going to dive my pins underneath that line that I'm going to sew. And one more pin. Okay, so these are the dart rules. Because you want this to kind of disappear into nothing, you don't want to backstitch there. There are many different ways to do this. This is always the way that I do it, but if you find a better way that you like, please do it that way. The only thing that's really important is that you don't want a lot of like thread and any kind of mushed up right there, because that's usually at a point and you want that to kind of disappear, and I'll show you that after I sew it. So it's okay to backstitch when you start out. So there's my legs, and I'm just going to do a little backstitch and just sew right on that line. All right, as I'm approaching the point of my dart, I'm going to just kind of keep on sewing right off. And I'm definitely not going to backstitch. And I got it pretty close. I'm going to make sure I have pretty long threads. Then since I can't backstitch, I'm going to actually hand tie a knot. Try to untwist my threads first. So I leave my threads a little bit long. Come on. And I just do a little square knot. Just tie it twice. Maybe 3 times for good measure. It'll hold. And then I usually leave, you know, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch threads. So that's my dart right there. The whole reason for this is because when you open this up, see how that's already given some shape, and we haven't even ironed it yet, and I'll show you how to iron that. But how it kind of shapes the fabric like that. And this is the part that you want to disappear into nothingness. You don't want there to be a really obvious little point right there, because generally that's on a place of your body that, you know, you probably don't want to draw attention to. So now I'm going to show you how to iron it. So here's my dart, and I'm come over to my ironing board. So you want to make sure you press. The rule about darts is if you have vertical darts, you want to press them toward each other. So I always think about them looking at each other. So if they're in the front, they're going to be pressed towards the center front. If they're in the back, they're going to be pressed towards the center back. Horizontal darts, so that would be like a bust dart, always gets pressed down. So down toward the waist, down toward the hem, however you want to think about it. So I usually press first on the wrong side of my fabric, just to kind of get that little flap all nice and pressed down like that. Kind of give the point a little attention. I'm going to flip it over and make sure that it's nice and flat. And that, again, that point kind of curves into nothing. And look at how it just flips right up like that, kind of giving that fabric a little shape. So that's pretty good. Sometimes they'll tell you to use a pressing ham. I don't happen to have one with me, but if you have a pressing ham, that's kind of nice to really get a nice curve like that. So that's how you press your pretty, pretty dart. So sometimes you need to put in a hand hem instead of a machine hem. Oh yeah, we're moving on to hems, huh? So I'm assuming you all know how to do a machine hem. Probably if you're at this point in your sewing that you want to do alterations, that you've done a machine hem. If not, we can definitely talk about that when we meet on Zoom. And I'm happy to go over that with you. I wanted to show you how to do a hand hem. Hand hems are really great for if you don't want to have your stitches showing on the right side. Generally, you're going to see hand hems in like dress pants, more formal things. It's just because it's more invisible. I'm going to be using red thread here just so that you can kind of see more what I'm doing, but please, oh please, use matching thread because that's going to be your best buddy in this case. So a hand hem looks like this. So I just have a single strand of thread. You don't want to double, just a single, and I tied a knot in the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tiniest little scoop of the body of the fabric. So I'm only picking up maybe about 2 little threads right there in the body of the fabric. Then I'm going to stab through the fold. I pre-finished these edges just because that you're going to want to have your edges pre-finished because it's not a double fold, it's just a single fold. So you want to serge it or zigzag it or something. So I pulled it through. I'm going to take one more tiny little stitch just so I can anchor this knot and maybe tuck that knot down inside that fold because it's a real ugly knot. So I'm just anchoring my knot. Okay, so what you want to do is every time you take a stitch, you're locking your stitch in just so that this is a stronger hem. So what you're going to do is throw your thread to the left. That's on the fold side. You're going to then pick up a few threads on the body of the fabric, stab through the fold. And every time you make a stitch, it makes that loop. So again, I'm throwing my thread to the left, pick up a few little thready threads, stab through to the fold, pull my stitch through. My stitches are maybe 3/8 in between each stitch. I wouldn't go too long, but just give this a practice. So again, you're stabbing or picking up a couple of threads in the body of the fabric, stabbing through the fold, pulling through. Always before you start another stitch, you throw your thread to the left, just like that. Throw thread to the left, pick up a few threads, stab through to the fold side. I'm going to show you what this is going to look like on the other side. Again, I'm using red thread so you can kind of see the stitches, but if you can kind of see these teeny tiny little red marks right there, that's going to be a pretty darn invisible hem, because you don't want to be picking up too many threads like that. So I would go ahead and keep on going. The rest of it, we're going to pretend we're at the end. This is how you're going to tie off. So I'm going to take my last stitch, and then if I'm finished, I'm going to take one more stitch. Again, pretend and just take a tiny little bit. And then before I pull that stitch all the way through, I'm going to go through the loop and pull it like that. And then I'm going to kind of go under those stitches just to lock it in one more time. Go through the loop. And then you can trim it. So that's if you want your blind hand hem on the edge. If you ever have like really long pants or a really long skirt that maybe a heel is going to get caught in, another way to do this is you're going to slide some straight pins about 1/2 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric. Like that. Here, I'm going to flip it around. So you're creating like a place for your fabric to hinge. So it's the same stitch, but it's going to get protected by this little edge right there. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold your fabric back, pick up a few threads on the body of the fabric. Then you're going to stab through that folded side. There's my knot. I'm going to tuck my knot in. Take one more stitch. Oh, my knot's escaping. So it's exactly the same stitch. Throw it to the left. Pick up a few threads. The body of the fabric. Stab through that fold. Throw your thread to the left. So same exact thing, it's just that you're tucking your stitches. I'm going to do a few more stitches so you can see. Tucking your stitches behind this little hinged door thing. Okay, one more stitch and then I'll fold it back, show you. So once you're finished, you're going to press that all down, and that really kind of settles those stitches in there and locks that in, and gives you a little extra protection. So in case, if something's long and you have a tendency to catch it in there. So same exact way to start, same way to finish. You're just hinging back that little flap right there. The last type of hem that I'm going to show you is a twin needle hem. So twin needles come like this. This one is pretty wide. I have another one that is a little more narrow. I've seen one that's in between those two. I actually kind of prefer my wider one just because I feel like it's, oh, here's the in-between one. I kind of like the wider one for my purposes. So the beautiful thing about a twin needle is that you can hem knits, so something that needs to be stretchy, without having to do a zigzag, because it it has 2 straight stitches on the top side, but it zigzags in between, so it's still stretchy, but it looks pretty professional. This is a really good way to hem knits. You can also use this on wovens where you want to do a double top stitch. It's pretty rad. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. And I'm going to hem one leg of some pants. So you have to take out your existing plain old needle. And then when you put this twin needle in, it goes in the same way, flat part toward the back. Put it in the same way that you would a regular needle. The one thing you want to check is you want to make sure that the width between those 2 needles is pretty wide, and that kind of skims my presser foot opening right there. So I would check that, because I would be really sad if I started to sew and that was too wide and it busted my needles. So just make sure that you're checking that it's going to clear your presser foot. So your needle's in, and then the next thing that you need to do is you need 2 sources of thread. So I've been known to use a regular spool of thread and a bobbin. If you have, I happen to have vertical spool pins, but if you have horizontal spool pin, you can stack a regular spool of thread on and then put a bobbin next to it, and then kind of put the little holder on there. If you do that, make sure that one source of thread is coming from the top, the other source of thread is coming from the bottom. It just kind of helps them not to be tangled. I happen to have 2 spool pins, so I'm just going to use 2 spools of thread. They're not the same color, but I'm just showing you here. So I'm going to thread my machine as if this were one source of thread. And then when I get down to my needle, some machines have a place right above the needle that you can hook into over there too, but my machine doesn't have that. So I'm just going to leave this one free. I'm going to put this one in that little holder. So I split my thread, and I'm just going to thread my needles separately. I try not to tangle them a ton, but you know, good enough is good enough. So we're just threading my needles. And tuck them under my presser foot. My bobbin thread is up, and your bobbin thread doesn't show at all, so I've been known to use kind of a questionable color if I'm more interested in my top source of thread showing than my bottom, because that really is going to be on the inside of my clothing or whatever I'm hemming. So the other thing that's a little tricky about this is that you have to hem from the top side. Usually you hem from the underneath side, and you hem here so that you can see how much you folded in. This you have to hem from the top. So what's kind of nice about knits is I'm going to stretch it, and then I'm going to turn it under about 1/2 inch, because that's about the depth of my hem that I want. And then I'm going to stretch it over this arm of my machine. I have like a little table that puts that I can snap on, but I pulled that off because I just want this one little arm. So I'm just going to feel where my edge is of my fabric. You can press this if that's helpful. A lot of times knits won't hold a press very well, so sometimes you just have to feel it. And then also once you stretch it over this, it kind of snaps into shape, but you just kind of have to make sure that it's going in this, that it's folding up in the right place. When you do a hem like this, or any hem for that matter, you always want to start at a seam, just because if there's any crossover when you start and you stop, you don't want there to be any mess. So I'm on a straight stitch. The machine just knows to do this. I don't have to do anything except for just a straight stitch. So just gonna start. If your fabric is stretched really tightly over your machine, sometimes you have to help it along a little bit if it's not feeding through well. So I'm going to come all the way around. machine. And again, I did this with red. I would probably do more matchy, but just so you can see. Ooh. So what that did, it kind of curls a little bit like that, but I have a twin needle and then it still stretches like that. So these are just a pair of leggings. It's a little rolled right there, but after you wash it and dry it, it kind of flattens out a little bit. But there's my twin needle stitch right there, and it stretches. And I think it makes it have a much more professional look. So you can do that on the bottom of t-shirts or any kind of knit. It's really great for that. So thanks you guys for joining me for Alterations. I hope that was clear and helpful. I am such a novice at filming videos. It's a very new thing for me, so please pardon the clumsiness of it all. I'll get better, I promise. We're gonna have a Zoom meeting, so please, please, please come to me with any questions or clarifications. And if you have any specific thing that you're interested in altering that maybe we didn't go over, please feel free to ask me about it when we Zoom. Thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon on Zoom. Bye.